Happy Halloween, everyone, and by the time you see this, it will be Halloween. When it comes to Kodic Halloween tradition, I usually pick a favorite movie of mine. Whether it be something like Final Destination or The Purge. One year I even did Twilight as a joke. But never before have I done a relatively new movie take its place. Few days before seeing this video, the streaming service Peacock, as well as Blumhouse Pictures, will release a movie adaptation of Five Nights at Freddy's, a game series that I am too much of a pussy to play. But thanks to my continued support and fandom of Game Theory, if you're a watcher of that channel, you know what FNAF means. You know what it is because you have been loaded with about a new 26 duration crap ton of theories on it. And yes, Matthew Patrick is in the movie as the diner guy. But yes, Five Nights has now hit the big screen, or the small one if you prefer, seeing that it released on both Peacock and theaters on the day one-ish of October 27th. But is it a good video game adaptation? Well, considering we are in the video game adaptation year of The Last of Us TV show, Super Mario Brothers smashing box office records, so the pressure is on. And I'm happy to report that the answer is a resounding yes, sir. It's not perfect. It's not exact. And yes, it may not even be scary to some. But the basic idea, the adherence to the lore especially, and just the general outwork done for Five Nights accelerates it as not only a great, if not memorable horror film, but for Five Nights fans, it may be exactly what the doctor ordered, keeping it spoiler free here, of course, for this. But yes, indeedy, the animatronics, Foxy, Freddy, Bunny, and yes, Springtrap and Chica are all here. And they're real. Yep, they're not CGI. They're not a computer trick. They're the real thing. Done by Jim Henson Productions, of all things. Bringing the horrifying jump scare masters to life. And yes, jump scares there will be. Although, a lot of them felt underwhelming, and there were a few rather cheap ones thrown in there too, with a German marching doll. But God, is this movie not a master of tension and release, which is the key setup for the games too, outside of the use of sound effects, audio cues, and of course, those dreaded video cameras. They're used throughout the film and even in the opening logo crawls. All the iconography is here, from the dilapidated pizza place to the isolated security office with the multiple cameras to, yes, even the use of lights flickering and no light being the key. But unlike the video game where it's just you playing as Mike Schmidt and you going up against the eponymous evil animatronics, because it's a movie, there has to be a human side to the effect, in which they do, giving Mike a greater problem that elicits the use of him going on the job at Fazbear's to greater thematic meaning through the use of, well, dream theory, oddly enough. And a sort of murder mystery, just like the games do. Everything is perfectly in place. Stands the reason because Scott Hawthorne is right directly in the creator's chair for this one. It's his baby, it's his work, so thus, it's his movie. Thanks to Jason Blum, it's going to get all the support and all the big money it needs to be a perfect mimic of the ultimate jump scare game. But the thing that hurts this movie is for the ultimate jump scare game, there aren't as many jump scares, let alone kills. Sure, there's the point of building tension, but this movie has a dialogue problem. It spends a lot of time trying to set up the meaning behind its lore and the meaning behind its kills rather than delivering the goods. Now, granted, when it does get there, and it gets there alright, it's perfectly Five Nights. But because the movie is PG-13, it might be a little tamer than you expect. But the cinematography inherits the game material using wide cameras and even close-up first-person camera views on multitudes of occasions, including one that's expertly done that uses Foxy in a vent. This thing gets the iconography right, and the look of it right. Feels It doesn't feel like you're playing the games per se, but it feels like you're over the shoulder watching somebody play the games. And it does a good enough job at introducing the core tenets of how the games work to get you involved into the games themselves. Although, word of caution for those that do get into the games, there's about 12 of them. And if you're a little jump scare squeamish, this works for both the movies and the games. This movie may not be something you want to watch, especially with the lights off. Because the animatronics are so realistic that you feel they're really there. And that is a testament to the set design, the animatronic designers, everybody involved in making the literal nuts and bolts of this video game mega franchise come to life. It's a true testament now in 2023 how far the video game movie has come. But it has taught one viable lesson. Allow the games to be the games. Allow the lore to be the lore. Don't try to Hollywood it too much. Although Five Nights at Freddy's does this, the actual useful effect. But more often than not, try not to do that. And that's why these video game adaptations are coming in like wildfire and setting the box office ablaze. As the actors' strike still continues unabated, probably straight into 2024, it's up to movies like Five Nights to keep the lights on the theater alive. Or else it might end up like the eponymous pizzeria, abandoned, forgotten, left to rot. But thankfully, this movie still shows that there's still some charm in that stage, although the charm might actually end up scaring you to death. There's no need to be talking in your sleep with this one, because it can be somewhat scary, but not a lot. Kadic Reviews gives Five Nights at Freddy's the movie a 7 out of 10 from our overall scale, and a recommendation if you're a fan of the games, either via lore dumps like the Game Theory channel, or you play the games directly. Outside of that, there may not be enough jump scares or enough kills to thrill, and its teamed up nature and over need to explain itself at some parts of the movie may dull the experience. So please, with this one, proceed at your taste and at your caution. It's either going to be one that really hits or really misses. And for me, it hit ever slightly. It's not going to get me to play the games, because again, I'm a weakling little nothing. But if there's a second movie on board, which it sets up, by the way, there will be a lot of reason to give Freddy a visit again. Only this time, maybe I'll have a mask on. Until next time, but the next Aelita Diaries. Happy Halloween. By then, we'll be at episode 43. Find peace in your own nirvana. I'll see you next week.